If you wake up every day feeling empty, uninspired, or directionless, that's not life punishing you. That's life reminding you it's time to take full control and design a life that actually feels like yours. Most people go through life doing what they think they're supposed to do. They follow the crowd, stick to routines, and never stop to question if they actually like the life they're living. They settle for what's easy, not for what's meaningful. If you've ever felt tired of waking up with no direction, if you've ever wondered why life feels dull or empty even when things seem fine, this is for you. This message is not about temporary motivation. It's about helping you build a real change. You're not here just to work, pay bills, and get by. You're here to grow, to choose, to lead yourself. You have the power to decide how your life will feel every day, not someday, right now. In this video, we're going to break down exactly how to stop drifting and start living with clarity, energy, and purpose. You deserve a life that feels right to you. Now let's dive in. Number 1, decide exactly who you want to become now. Most people go through life without ever stopping to ask themselves one of the most important questions they'll ever face. Who do I want to become now? Not someday. Not when everything is perfect. Not when it's convenient. But now, because the truth is, if you don't decide, the world will decide for you. And the world doesn't always have your best in mind. The world will push you to follow trends, chase approval, copy others, and live on repeat. If you don't take control of your direction, you'll end up far from where you belong. It starts with honesty. That's where most people struggle. Not because they don't know who they want to become, but because they're scared to admit it. They're scared they don't have what it takes. So they avoid the question. They stay busy. They pretend to be fine. But deep down, they feel the gap between who they are and who they could be. That gap is painful, and it doesn't go away by avoiding it. It only closes when you face it with full truth. You've got to stop and look at your life. Are you proud of who you're becoming? Are you proud of your daily decisions? Are you moving in the direction of your values, or are you drifting? If you don't like the answers, then this is your moment. Not to feel guilty, not to feel regret, but to make a clear decision. Because the beauty of life is that at any point, you can change the path you're on by changing the person you're becoming. Ask yourself, who do I respect? Who do I admire? What qualities make me feel alive? Do I want to be strong? Do I want to be calm? Do I want to be disciplined? Do I want to be bold? Pick the traits. Pick the character. Pick the values. And don't just write them down. Commit to them. Because the decision is not made when it's written. The decision is made when your actions begin to reflect that new standard. The reason this step is so powerful is because it becomes your foundation. When you know exactly who you want to become, every choice gets clearer. You don't need to guess. You don't need to chase every opportunity. You don't need to be everything to everyone. You just need to be consistent with the person you've chosen to become. That brings confidence. That brings peace. That brings meaning. This decision gives your life structure. It gives your time direction. It gives your mind focus. When you live without this clarity, everything becomes confusing. Every decision feels heavy. You say yes to things you don't care about. You stay stuck in places that drain you. You waste years in patterns that don't reflect who you are. But once you decide, you begin to live from the inside out. You begin to say no without guilt. You begin to take steps that feel right, even if they're difficult. You don't have to wait for the right moment. You don't need perfect confidence. You don't need approval from anyone. You just need the courage to decide. Decide that you are not going to waste another year living on default settings. Decide that you will no longer be shaped by fear or doubt. Decide that from this point forward, you are building a new version of yourself, one decision at a time. This is not about becoming someone else. It's about becoming your best self. The version of you that has always been there under the surface. You've seen glimpses of it. In moments of clarity. In moments of strength. But now you are choosing to make that version permanent. You are no longer waiting to feel ready. You are becoming ready by moving forward. When you know who you want to become, you begin to change what you tolerate. You stop wasting time. You stop entertaining distractions. You stop making room for excuses. Your energy, becomes sacred. Your time becomes valuable. You begin to protect your environment. You begin to rise earlier, speak clearer, act sharper, because now you're building something that matters. You're building yourself. That version of you is already possible. It's not far away. It's not trapped in some dream. It's waiting on the other side of your daily decisions. And every choice is a brick. Every action is a message to your future. You don't have to see the whole picture to start. You just need to know the kind of person you want to become, and then start showing up like them now. Not perfectly, but consistently. If you want to become disciplined, then start living with discipline today. If you want to become strong, then do the hard things now. If you want to be a leader, then lead yourself first. Don't wait for some magic feeling to push you. Choose to become, and then let your actions catch up. There's nothing more powerful than a person who has made up their mind about who they're going to be. Because life bends to a person who walks in clarity. You are allowed to want more. You are allowed to grow. You are allowed to stop being who you've been. That's not failure. That's wisdom. That's strength. Growth means you no longer stay loyal to the old version of you. Growth means you respect your future more than your past. And that shift starts with one strong decision. A decision that says, I will no longer just exist. I will no longer wake up without a sense of direction. I will no longer drift. I will design. I will build. I will grow. I will decide who I am. And then I will live in a way that proves it. This is not a one-time thing. This is a daily renewal. You don't become your future self in one step. You become them in thousands of small steps that all start with one clear decision. This is your power. This is your life. You don't owe the world a version of you that doesn't feel right anymore. You owe yourself the chance to become the person you know you can be. Decide who that is, and begin. Number 2, break the cycle of meaningless and start leading intentionally. There's a moment in life when a person realizes they're not truly living, they're just going through the motions. Wake up, go to work, come home, scroll through distractions, sleep, repeat. The days blur together, nothing feels meaningful. The energy is gone, the excitement is gone. That's not life. That's existing without purpose. And if you found yourself stuck in that cycle, it's not because you're weak or lazy, it's because the direction is missing. That sense of control, of leadership, of deliberate living, it's been forgotten. You're not alone in this. Most people end up there without even noticing. It starts small, a little delay in your goals, a little excuse here and there. Eventually, you look up, and months have passed, and you're still in the same place, still wondering why everything feels so flat. But here's the truth that changes everything. You don't have to stay there. You can break that cycle. You can stop living on autopilot, and you don't need to wait for some major event to push you. You need to step up and decide to lead yourself. That's the difference between existing and living. Existing is automatic. Leading is intentional. One drains your energy. The other gives you power. Leading yourself means you stop waiting. You stop hoping that things will change on their own. You take responsibility. You take ownership of your time, your thoughts, your habits, and your focus. You wake up each day, and you choose what that day will mean to you. Not based on how you feel. Not based on what others expect. Based on what matters to you. That's the beginning of intention. You stop being reactive and start being deliberate. Meaning doesn't show up by accident. It's created by what you focus on, by how you use your energy, and by the standards you set for yourself. When you let days pass without goals, without structure, without growth, life starts to feel heavy. That weight is not from working too hard. It's from drifting too long. And drifting kills motivation. It kills clarity. It makes even small tasks feel pointless. That's when you know it's time to wake up and shift. Break the cycle by getting serious about what you want your life to represent. You don't need to have it all figured out, but you do need to start leading. That means setting clear intentions for who you are becoming. That means cutting off habits that waste your energy. That means refusing to hand your days over to random distractions and noise. Because if you don't lead your day will lead you nowhere. You have the ability to bring purpose into anything you do. Even the smallest action becomes meaningful when it aligns with a bigger picture. But that bigger picture won't just arrive. You have to define it. What kind of life do you want to wake up to? What kind of work makes you feel useful? What kind of growth challenges you to stretch? These questions matter. Without answers, you live in circles. You work hard, but go nowhere. You stay busy but feel empty. There's no strength in staying stuck. There's no prize for surviving days that don't move you. That's not strength. That's settling. And deep down, you know you weren't made to settle. You were made to build, to lead, to rise. But no one will hand you that direction. You have to claim it. And that starts when you stop pretending that meaningless routines are enough. You already know they're not. That's why you're here. That's why you feel the urge to break free. Leadership is not about a title. It's about how you carry yourself when no one's watching. It's about choosing your actions based on vision, not mood. It's about living in alignment with your values, even when it's inconvenient. You don't need to inspire the world first. You need to inspire yourself. You need to look in the mirror and know that you're moving with intention. That's what builds confidence. Not results, not praise, but knowing you're leading your life with purpose. When you begin leading yourself, things start to change. You don't rely on motivation. You build discipline. You don't wait for the right time. You make the time. You don't hope for clarity. You create it through action. You become someone who follows through, who sets boundaries, who knows why they're doing what they're doing. And that changes how you show up in every part of your life. You'll notice that meaning starts to return. The days begin to feel different. Not always easy, but real. You begin to value your time more. You begin to think bigger. You begin to take yourself seriously. Not in a heavy way, but in a committed way. Because when you lead yourself with intention, you begin to trust yourself again. You stop doubting your ability to change. You stop questioning your worth. You start becoming someone you respect. That respect grows every time you choose purpose over distraction. Every time you say no to what doesn't matter. Every time you do the hard thing. Because it aligns with who you want to be. That's the muscle of leadership. And like any muscle, it grows through repetition, not through perfection, not through quick wins, but through consistent, deliberate action. This is not something anyone else can do for you. No one else can live your life with meaning. That's your job. And it's not something that starts someday. It starts now, right where you are, with whatever tools you have. It starts by deciding that meaningless is no longer enough. That routine without growth is not acceptable. That going through the motions is not what you're here for. Every day you don't lead yourself. You hand your life over to chance, to noise, to outside influence. But when you begin to lead with purpose, everything shifts. Your conversations become deeper. Your choices become sharper. Your habits become aligned. Your path becomes clearer. Because now you're not trying to escape life. You're building it. You're not chasing distractions. You're following direction. You don't need a new year. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a decision. A decision to stop being okay with a life that doesn't move you. A decision to take full ownership of your time. A decision to no longer settle for less than your full effort. Not because you're chasing some perfect image, but because you finally respect your life enough to lead it. And leading your life doesn't mean it's always exciting. It means you stay consistent even when it's quiet. It means you show up with intention even when no one sees it. It means your standards don't drop when things get hard. That's what builds a real life. Not hype, not noise, not shortcuts, but steady, intentional effort. Effort that comes from clarity. Clarity that comes from self-leadership. Break the cycle now. Don't wait to feel ready. Don't wait to be inspired. Use what you have. Do what you can. Start small if you need to. But lead. Wake up and lead your thoughts. Lead your habits. Lead your emotions. Lead your time. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be present, focused, clear, determined. That's where real life begins. That's where the meaningless cycle ends. That's when everything starts to feel alive again. Number 3. Create a vision that makes your life feel alive. There comes a point where going through the day without direction starts to wear you down. You begin to feel like something important is missing. You check all the boxes, you do what's expected, but there's no energy in it, no drive. That's when you need to stop and realize this isn't just about productivity or routine. It's about vision. Without a vision, even the most organized life can feel empty. Because vision is what gives your effort meaning. Vision is what puts life behind your actions. You can have a full schedule and still feel lost if you don't have a clear image of where you're going. You need something to reach for, something that moves you. A reason to push forward when you don't feel like it. A reason to say no to distractions and yes to growth. That's what vision gives you. It brings your life into focus. It reminds you that there's more than just getting by. You were not made to just exist. You were made to build, to create, to rise into something greater than yesterday. But that will never happen on accident. It starts by creating a vision that brings your life to life. You've got to ask yourself some real questions. What kind of life do I want to live? Not in vague terms. Not someday, but in full detail. What does a powerful day look like to me? How do I feel when I wake up? What kind of people do I spend time with? What kind of work challenges me and makes me proud? What kind of physical and mental energy do I carry with me? What kind of impact do I want to leave behind? These aren't just random questions. They're the seeds of your vision, and you need to answer them with depth and honesty. The vision has to mean something to you. It has to light something up inside you when you think about it. If it doesn't, it's not strong enough. A real vision pulls you forward. It makes excuses harder to hold on to. It makes effort feel worthwhile. It makes you care. Without that emotional connection, goals feel flat. Habits feel forced. Change feels impossible. But when your vision is alive, your life becomes alive with it. You don't create a vision to impress others. You don't create it to sound good on paper. You create it because your future deserves clarity. You deserve a reason to get up and give your best. You need something that reminds you why it matters. Something that makes the hard days bearable and the good days meaningful. You can't fake that. It has to be real. It has to be yours. Not borrowed. Not copied. Built from your truth. That means your vision must reflect what matters most to you. Not what others expect. Not what the crowd is chasing. Not what social pressure pushes you to do. Strip all that away. What do you actually want? What kind of future would make you proud? What kind of person do you need to become to live that future? That's where your focus should be. On designing a life that feels right from the inside out. Once you create that vision, you begin to see your present differently. You stop wasting time on things that don't move you forward. You stop settling for low standards. You stop saying yes to distractions that don't serve your direction. Because now you have something better. You have clarity. You have urgency. You have purpose. Vision is not just a picture. It's a commitment. A clear understanding that your time here matters. That you're not here just to stay busy. You're here to make progress. You're here to grow. And that growth is guided by the vision you've chosen. Without it, you live in reaction mode. With it, you live with power. This isn't about becoming obsessed with achievement. It's about becoming aligned with your values. Because real energy doesn't come from pushing yourself endlessly. It comes from moving in the right direction. It comes from knowing your actions are building something that matters. That's where momentum lives. That's where fulfillment starts. It's okay if your vision feels big. It should. That means it stretches you. That means it challenges who you are now and calls you to evolve. A vision that doesn't push you isn't really a vision. It's a wish. You don't need wishes. You need direction. You need fire. You need a clear path that gives your daily work meaning. And it's not about having every detail figured out. You don't need to know every step. You just need a strong enough reason to begin. The clarity will come as you move. The confidence will grow as you act. But you won't move if there's no vision pulling you forward. You'll stall. You'll hesitate. You'll drift. That's why the vision comes first. It's not optional. It's essential. This is your opportunity to take full control of your future. Not by hoping for better days, but by designing them. Not by waiting for the right time, but by deciding. Now, you already know what it feels like to live without vision. You already know what it feels like to go through the day without energy. That doesn't have to be your normal. You can shift. You can create something new. You can start shaping a future that actually excites you. When you begin building your vision, your standards change. You don't tolerate the same things. You don't think the same way. You begin to take your time seriously. You begin to watch who you let influence you. You start investing your energy instead of wasting it. That shift is everything. Because when your vision is clear, your discipline follows. Your passion returns. Your effort multiplies. You become a different kind of person. One that lives on purpose. One that acts with clarity. One that doesn't need outside motivation to keep going. Because now your vision is strong enough to lead you. It's not a fantasy. It's not a dream. It's a blueprint. A real living image of the life you're stepping into. And every day becomes a chance to build it. You don't owe anyone your potential, but you owe it to yourself to use it. To stop waiting. To stop drifting. To stop accepting a version of life that doesn't feel right. This is not about chasing perfection. It's about building a future that matters to you. A future that brings your values to life. A future that reflects your best effort. That starts today. That starts with vision. And when you make it clear, you make your life feel alive again. Number 4. Design a future that pulls you every single day. Every person wakes up with a choice. Either let the day control you or take charge of the direction your life is heading. But what makes a person truly come alive? What gives them strength when it's easier to give up? Is a future that means something. A future that pulls them forward. Not because they have to chase it, but because it speaks to something deep inside them. That's not just about goals. That's about design. That's about being intentional with how you want to live and where you want to go. If your future doesn't excite you, then your days will feel empty, and your motivation will disappear the moment things get hard. Most people don't lack ability. They lack a future worth fighting for. And when there's no clear future in front of you, it becomes easy to settle, easy to drift, easy to live on autopilot. But the moment you take ownership of what's ahead, the moment you sit down and create a detailed future with your own hands, everything changes. Your attitude shifts. Your focus sharpens. Your days become more meaningful. Because you know exactly why you're doing what you're doing. You're no longer surviving. You're building. Designing a future isn't about fantasy. It's about vision with structure. You look ahead and decide what kind of life would make you proud. What kind of days you want to wake up to. What kind of growth you want to experience. Who you want to become in 5 years. Not by accident, but by design. It's not enough to say you want more. You need to know what more looks like for you. What does success actually mean to you? Not someone else's version. Yours. If you can't describe it clearly, you won't pursue it with power. You don't wait until things feel right to start designing. You begin exactly where you are. You get honest about what's working and what's not. You recognize where your habits are leading you. You study your own patterns and decide what needs to stay and what needs to go. Because the future isn't created in a moment. It's created through daily choices that align with a bigger picture. A picture that you define. You need a reason that gets you out of bed with urgency. Something that makes you put the phone down and focus. Something that makes the discomfort of growth feel worth it. That's the power of a future that pulls you. It replaces short-term cravings with long-term strength. You don't need tricks. You don't need hype. You need a direction that matters more than your excuses. That's how people change. That's how people rise. Not through willpower alone, but through purpose that never lets them settle. When you design your future, you stop reacting and start leading. You lead yourself. You stop asking for permission to live differently. You stop hiding behind fear of failure. You take the risk of aiming higher because you understand that the cost of staying stuck is greater than the fear of trying. And even if it takes time, even if the progress is slow, at least now it's progress. At least now you're moving forward with meaning. You can tell the difference between someone who's just existing and someone who's living with a future in mind. It's in their posture. It's in how they talk. It's in the decisions they make every day. You can feel the energy in people who are pulled by their future. They aren't perfect. They aren't fearless. But they're clear. And that clarity fuels consistency. It fuels resilience. It fuels a sense of pride that no outside praise can ever replace. You don't need to design something massive right away. You just need to begin. Start by asking what kind of life feels right to you. What do you want your days to look like? What kind of work lights you up? What kind of peace do you want to carry? What kind of impact do you want to make? Be specific. Be detailed. Because clarity is power, and once you gain clarity, your actions become focused. Your energy stops being scattered. You're not just busy anymore. You're effective. Your future is not a mystery. It's a mirror of your priorities. If you prioritize distraction, your future will reflect that. If you prioritize growth, your future will reflect that too. Every choice you make is a vote for the kind of future you're building. That's why design matters. It keeps you aligned. It keeps you responsible. It keeps you awake to the value of your time. Don't make the mistake of thinking you have forever. You don't. Time is limited. Energy is limited. But direction can multiply the value of both. When your future pulls you, it brings urgency to your life. Not anxiety, not pressure, but a healthy sense of responsibility. A personal standard. You no longer want to waste your potential. You no longer want to delay what matters. You show up for yourself, even when it's hard, because you know why it's worth it. That future won't design itself, and no one else can do it for you. You can take advice. You can learn from others. But in the end, you are the one who has to decide what your future will look like. You are the one who will either look back with pride or regret. That decision starts now. Not when you feel ready. Not when circumstances are perfect. Now, your future needs to be real to you. It has to feel personal. It has to be grounded in your values and dreams, not just your fears. It should push you to grow, not shrink you to comfort. And it should remind you every day that your life is worth designing, not just floating through, not just hoping it gets better, building it, with your choices, with your attitude, with your discipline. And when that design is clear, when it's built from a place of honesty and desire, it becomes the fuel you need. You won't need someone to constantly motivate you. You won't need to force yourself every day. The future you've designed will do the work. It will speak to you. It will call you higher. And when you feel like giving up, it will remind you why you started. You weren't made to wander. You weren't built to repeat the same year over and over. You were given the ability to think ahead, to choose, to rise. That's your gift, and it becomes your power when you use it. When you sit down and decide not just what you want from life, but what you're willing to give to life. That's when everything starts to change. That's when days feel purposeful. That's when momentum begins. And that's when your future stops being a wish and starts becoming real. Number 5, take back your power and build a new path. There comes a point in life when you must decide that enough is enough. Enough waiting, enough blaming, enough settling. When you realize that the direction you're heading no longer serves who you want to be, you don't wait for someone to rescue you. You don't hope for luck to intervene. You take back your power. You reclaim the part of yourself that got lost in the noise, the doubt, the routines that slowly drained your potential. It doesn't matter how long you've been stuck. It matters what you're willing to do about it now. When you give away your power, you surrender your ability to lead your life. You become a passenger in your own story. You follow instead of creating. But the moment you decide to take it back, everything shifts. You stop depending on circumstances to improve. You stop looking at your past as a sentence. You look at it as a lesson. And then you make a new decision, not to repeat the same cycle, not to live the same story, but to build something different with what you've learned. Taking back your power starts with responsibility, not guilt, not shame. Responsibility. The ability to respond with strength and clarity. You begin by facing the truth about where you are, not where you wish you were, not where others expect you to be. You face your reality and say, this is where I stand, but this is not where I stay. That's how you gain your strength. not by denying the pain but by learning from it. Power is not about control over others. It's about control over yourself, your mindset, your reactions, your standards. When you take ownership of those things, you stop being a victim of your environment. You start becoming the architect of what comes next. And that's where the new path begins. Not from outside approval, but from inner commitment. A commitment to growth. A commitment to self-respect. A commitment to movement, even when it's difficult. You can't walk a new path if you're still holding on to the old one. You can't build forward if you keep replaying everything that went wrong. You must choose to let go. Let go of the identity that keeps you tied to what used to be. Let go of excuses that once made sense but no longer serve you. Let go of the habit of shrinking yourself to fit into places you've outgrown. Your future deserves more than your past regrets. To build a new path, you must begin with vision and discipline. Vision gives you a destination. Discipline gives you the power to keep moving toward it. This is not about motivation that comes and goes. It's about choosing to stay committed, even on days when motivation is nowhere to be found. You build momentum not through inspiration alone, but through daily action that aligns with who you are becoming. Taking back your power means creating new standards. It means deciding what you will no longer tolerate from yourself. You stop entertaining distractions that used to steal your time. You stop surrounding yourself with energy that weakens your clarity. You say no to the things that derail your focus. Not because you're better than anyone else, but because you're finally being honest about what matters. You don't change your life by accident. You change it by design. One decision at a time, one change at a time. The people who transform their lives are not the ones who have perfect plans. They are the ones who refuse to let fear lead the way. They take small steps with big intention. They move with courage, not because it's easy, but because they know staying stuck costs too much. You've got one life, one shot, and it's not meant to be lived in someone else's shadow or trapped in cycles you never asked for. You have the right to step into a new direction. No matter what yesterday looked like, building a new path means creating a new rhythm. You change your routines. You choose habits that reflect where you want to go, not where you've been. You start showing up for yourself in the little things. Waking up earlier, being more mindful, speaking to yourself with more strength. You understand that every action is shaping your future. You stop waiting for change and start becoming the change. You rise from your history and choose your legacy. Some days it will feel uncomfortable. That's expected. Growth is never easy, but discomfort is not a reason to go back. It's a signal that you're moving forward, that you're stretching beyond what's familiar, that you're becoming someone who takes full ownership of their life. You earn your power by using it, by taking action when it's easier to sit still, by doing the work when no one's watching, by refusing to let setbacks define your limits. Every strong person you admire, every successful life you see began with a moment of decision. A moment where they said, "This ends here. I will not continue this way." And from that moment forward, they built day by day, step by step, not perfectly, but persistently. You can do the same. Your path may look different. Your journey may take time. But the moment you take your power back, your future starts to respond. You start thinking differently. You start speaking with more purpose. You make choices that align with a higher standard. You realize you don't have to prove anything to anyone, but you do owe it to yourself to live fully, to live with intention, to live with honesty and drive. That's how new paths are created, not with noise, not with show, but with quiet determination and real effort. This is not about pretending to have it all figured out. It's about being willing to figure it out. It's about no longer letting fear dictate your actions. It's about trusting that you can handle the responsibility of building something better. You begin to recognize your influence over your own life. You begin to build systems that protect your progress. You stop reacting to life and begin responding with clarity. As you walk this new path, you become more aware of how your thoughts shape your results, aware of how your time reflects your values, aware of how much potential you've been sitting on. That awareness becomes your fuel. That awareness becomes your fire. You no longer see yourself as a person trying to survive. You see yourself as someone creating a life worth remembering. A life that reflects discipline, integrity, and vision. Taking back your power doesn't require perfection. It requires effort and decision. It means standing up for yourself in ways you never did before. It means no longer explaining your dreams to people who don't understand them. It means showing up when it's inconvenient, speaking truth when it's uncomfortable, choosing progress when it's slow. And every time you do that, you reinforce a new identity. An identity built on strength, not fear, on clarity, not confusion, on growth, not survival. That's how your life begins to change. When you stop giving away your strength to distractions, to opinions, to old habits. When you stop waiting for things to fix themselves and start becoming the one who makes it happen. That's how your new path is built. Through courage, through honesty, through one powerful decision followed by another. Number 6. Wake up with purpose and act with full clarity. When you open your eyes in the morning, what do you feel? That first moment, when your mind is clear and the world is quiet, that's not just the start of another day, it's the most important choice you'll make. You can either drift through the hours, or you can take control. That starts with purpose. Purpose doesn't show up on its own. It doesn't walk through the door and say, "Here I am." You've got to choose it. You've got to define it. You've got to decide what matters enough to make every day count. A life without purpose feels like motion without progress. You keep moving, but you don't feel like you're going anywhere. People spend years living that way, checking off tasks, doing what's expected, repeating yesterday again and again. That's not what you were made for. You were made to wake up and know why you're getting out of bed. You were made to feel the pull of something meaningful. That kind of clarity doesn't just help you start your day, it helps you shape your entire life. But here's the truth. Purpose isn't a magical feeling. It's not always emotional. It's not always loud. Sometimes it's quiet. Sometimes it's a small decision that you repeat over and over. You've got to define your reason. Why do you want to get stronger? Why do you want to learn? Why do you want to change? If you don't define it, you'll fall into distraction. You'll give your time to anything that looks urgent, but isn't important. And every day that you drift, your real life, the one you were meant to live, slips further away. Start by getting honest. What do you care about deeply? What do you want your life to stand for? If you don't answer those questions, the world will answer them for you, and the world is busy. It will push you in directions that leave you tired and unsure. But when you wake up with a clear reason, a decision you've made for yourself, the noise fades. You stop comparing. You stop chasing what doesn't matter. You start building what does. And now comes the second part. It's not enough to have purpose. You need clarity. That means knowing exactly what you're going to do with your time. Vague intentions lead to vague results. You can't just say, "I want to be better," and expect anything to change. What does better look like for you? What action can you take today? Not next month, not after you feel ready, but today. You don't need a perfect plan. You need a decision. One step, one clear action. Maybe it's waking up earlier. Maybe it's writing down your goals. Maybe it's quitting something that drains your energy. Whatever it is, you have to be specific. If your life feels foggy, it's usually because you haven't decided what truly matters to you and what you're willing to do about it. Clarity comes from decisions, not from thinking, not from waiting, not from wishing. People say they want change, but most of them stay stuck because they want it to feel easy. They want change without discomfort. That's not how it works. Clarity means cutting off distractions. It means saying no to what doesn't move you forward. That's not always fun. It doesn't always feel good in the moment, but it gives your life structure. It gives your day direction. It makes your time matter. You don't need 10 goals. You need one goal that matters enough to wake you up with purpose. You need one decision that moves you closer to who you want to become. You don't need to do everything. You need to do the right thing. That's how you go from overwhelmed to focused. That's how you stop spinning your wheels and start making real progress. Look at your day. Are you using it or wasting it? Time doesn't ask for permission. It moves forward whether you're ready or not. That's why your clarity has to come from you. Don't wait for motivation. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Motivation comes after action. Confidence comes from doing. The people who live with purpose aren't the lucky ones. They're the ones who got tired of drifting. They're the ones who made the decision to show up for their life. Start now. Not when it's easy. Not when you're certain. Start now. While you're unsure, while it's uncomfortable, while the fear is still there. That's how you build real strength. That's how you learn to trust yourself. You don't need to know all the answers to begin. You just need to stop delaying your life. Your purpose doesn't have to impress anyone. It just has to be real. You don't need permission to change. You don't need anyone to believe in your goals. But you stop waiting for a sign. This is your sign. Wake up with intention. Decide what matters. Move in that direction every day. You'll feel more alive when your days have direction. You'll feel more clear when you know what you're chasing. The most powerful people you know, the ones who inspire you, they didn't just fall into purpose. They built it by getting clear on what they valued. And they acted on it even when it was hard. You have that same power. It's in your hands every single morning. You just have to stop hitting snooze on your own life. There's no magic coming. No one's coming to design your life for you. That's your job. You get to decide what your life becomes. That starts the moment you stop existing and start living on purpose. It starts when you make the choice to stop being busy and start being clear. It starts when you take full ownership of your hours, your habits, your direction. Purpose without clarity leads to frustration. Clarity without purpose leads to burnout. But together, when you wake up with purpose and act with clarity, you become unstoppable. You stop living someone else's plan and start living the one you designed. Not tomorrow, now. Number 7. Refuse the average and chase something worth becoming. Most people settle not because they can't do better, but because they never stop to question if there's more. They accept what's around them as all there is. They accept comfort over growth, familiarity over purpose, routine over transformation. That's how average becomes a way of life. It sneaks in when you stop challenging yourself. It shows up when you stop asking, is this really what I want? But the truth is, there's nothing inspiring about a life lived halfway. There's nothing fulfilling about living on autopilot and calling it enough. You were not made to repeat the same empty cycle and call it a life. To refuse the average means you choose to think for yourself. You stop measuring your value by what the crowd is doing. You stop comparing your path to others who have chosen comfort over calling. You begin to see clearly that excellence is a decision, not a result. It's something you choose daily. It's not about being better than someone else. It's about being better than who you were yesterday. And that choice takes courage. Chasing something worth becoming starts when you get tired of waiting. Tired of waiting for the right time. Tired of waiting for motivation to strike. Tired of waiting for someone else to see your worth before you decide to live with it. You wake up one day and you say, there's more in me and I'm no longer okay with holding it back. That's the start of something real. That's when you stop existing and begin living with focus. You don't chase a version of yourself that's convenient. You chase the version that requires effort. The one that demands sacrifice. The one that forces you to level up mentally and emotionally. You do the work that others skip because you've seen what settling looks like and you don't want it. You refuse to be the kind of person who lets life drift by without fighting for something deeper, something more honest. Something that challenges who you are. The world doesn't need more people playing small. It needs people who wake up and take themselves seriously. Who realize that time is not unlimited and that average is too high a cost. People who look at the direction their life is heading and say, this is not how it ends. And if you've ever had that moment of dissatisfaction, that moment where you feel like you're not living at your full capacity, then you already know what I'm talking about. That's not weakness. That's awareness. Awareness of your potential is the first step to change. But awareness without action will leave you in the same place. You must decide to move, to change your routines, to say no to habits that waste your energy, to stop giving time to things that do not bring you closer to who you want to become. Because the person you are capable of being does not live in your comfort zone. That person lives on the other side of your excuses. Chasing something worth becoming means defining your standards and raising them higher than what the world expects. It means you stop accepting mediocrity in your thoughts, your work, your relationships, and your dreams. It means every day you ask yourself, am I becoming the kind of person I admire? Not because you're chasing perfection, but because you care enough about your life to give it your best. You treat your time as valuable. You treat your future as sacred. You stop waiting for permission to become someone new. Average will always be the easier road. It comes with less resistance. It doesn't challenge your mindset. It doesn't force you to confront your fears, but it also leaves you with emptiness. It leaves you wondering what could have been, and the longer you stay there, the harder it becomes to believe in anything better. That's why you must reject it every day. You must choose something harder but worth it, something uncertain but meaningful. You begin by setting goals that actually mean something to you, not what others expect, not what society tells you success. You figure out what gives your life meaning, and you go after that. You build a lifestyle around your values. You shape your days with intention. You stop reacting and start deciding. Your direction becomes clearer not when life gets easier, but when you get more serious about what you want. And you'll face resistance. You'll have days when it feels pointless, when your old habits tempt you back, when the people around you don't understand why you're trying so hard. But that's when you remind yourself, you're not doing this to fit in. You're doing this because average never felt right to you. You never felt satisfied pretending everything was okay. You wanted more, and now you're proving to yourself that you can reach it. You train your mind to stay focused on the long game. You don't quit because progress is slow. You don't turn back because it's difficult. You stay with it. You adjust. You evolve. You fail and learn. And most importantly, you keep going. Every time you push through resistance, you build the strength to go further. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you get closer to becoming the person you respect. You start to walk differently, talk differently, think differently. You stop needing to be understood and start needing to be real. Real with yourself, real with your desires, real with the work required to grow. You develop the kind of confidence that doesn't shout. It shows in how you live. You stop chasing attention and start chasing growth. You don't owe anyone your average self. You owe yourself your best. And no one else can define what that looks like for you. Only you can decide how far you're willing to go. Only you can choose to show up when it's inconvenient. Only you can take control of your choices and say, I will not waste what I've been given. That's where fulfillment lives, not in perfection, but in honest pursuit. Refusing average is not a one-time decision. It's a daily one. You wake up and make the choice again and again. You check your actions and ask, is this helping me grow? You stop looking for shortcuts. You respect the process. And slowly you build a life that reflects your values, your strength, and your vision. People may not understand your path. They might question your drive. But that's not your problem to solve. Your job is to show up for your own life with everything you've got, to live in a way that honors your gifts, to chase something that matters more than comfort, because you were never meant to be average. You were meant to rise. You were meant to expand. You were meant to evolve into someone that even your past self wouldn't recognize. And the only way to get there is to stop living like the rest and start living like you mean it. Number 8. Shape each day with discipline and personal responsibility. No one's coming to fix your life for you. No one's going to knock on your door and say, here's the discipline you've been missing. Here's the structure. Here's the exact path to follow. That's your job. Every morning you wake up, you get another shot to either lead your life or let it slip. Discipline is not a punishment. It's a decision. It's choosing to stop waiting for the mood to show up and instead taking full control of your actions. When you start shaping your day with real intent, everything begins to change. Most people aren't lacking potential. They're just refusing responsibility. It's easy to blame circumstances. It's easy to look at everything that's wrong and say, it's not my fault. But that won't change your life. You don't grow by shifting the blame. You grow when you look at the mirror and say, I can do something about this. That moment when you take ownership of your time, your behavior, your decisions, that's when everything opens up. Discipline is built when you do the work no one sees. It's built in silence. No recognition, no spotlight. Just you against the excuses. Just you versus your own distractions. The world is full of people who start strong and then fade when it gets hard. That's because they rely on motivation. Discipline is what carries you when motivation disappears. When you no longer feel like doing the work, discipline is the voice that says, you said you would. Now follow through. You want to reshape your future? Start by reshaping a single day. Your habits are your real identity. What you do on a regular basis becomes the kind of person you are. If you keep waiting for the right time to show up, you're going to waste years. Discipline isn't about doing something once in a while. It's about showing up daily. When you're tired, when you're busy, when the world feels heavy, that's when it counts most. Responsibility isn't about pressure. It's about power. It means you don't let your mood decide your behavior. It means you stop waiting for things to feel right and instead make a decision to do what's right. The most powerful version of yourself is not the one that does everything perfectly. It's the one that takes full ownership, especially when things are tough. It's easy to act disciplined when everything's going well, but when it's uncomfortable, when it's inconvenient, that's when your character gets built. Start by asking yourself this: how are you spending your mornings? Are you reacting or are you leading? If the first thing you do is reach for your phone, check messages, scroll, you're already letting the world shape your direction. Instead, take that moment to set your tone. Write your priorities. Make your plan. Decide what matters before distractions arrive. That's discipline in action. That's responsibility lived out. You don't need to be extreme. You need to be consistent. Stop saying I'll try, and start saying this is who I am now. That's the real shift. That's where identity starts to lock in. The moment you stop treating discipline like a temporary effort and start treating it like your new standard, that's the moment momentum begins. You won't see instant results, but you'll start building something stronger than any shortcut. Take responsibility for your schedule. How much time are you wasting pretending to be busy? How many hours are lost in distractions, in things that won't matter next week? Discipline doesn't just change your day. It gives you your life back. The average person lives in reaction. They wake up late, rush through tasks, and wonder why they feel behind. But you have the power to slow it all down by choosing with clarity and acting with control. Discipline gives you freedom. Most people think it's the opposite, that structure is limiting, but when you live with discipline, you actually gain more choice. You're not pulled by temptation. You're not constantly starting over. You don't live in regret. You get to experience real progress, and that changes how you see yourself. You start to believe that you can trust your own word. That's when confidence begins to grow. Not because of what others say, but because of what you consistently do. You don't need to be told what to do. Deep down, you already know. The problem isn't knowledge, it's follow-through. It's keeping your word to yourself when no one's watching. That's what separates those who change their life from those who just talk about it. No fancy routine can replace showing up daily. No quick hack can replace the real work. And no one can do it for you. Each day is a brick. What kind of structure are you building with it? Are you building something strong, something intentional, something that represents the future you want? Or are you just piling up wasted time and hoping it magically becomes something meaningful? That won't happen. The structure of your life depends on how you handle today. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your standards. What are you tolerating from yourself right now? What behaviors have you allowed to slide because it's not that bad? That mindset erodes your potential. Raise your standard. Decide that showing up for yourself isn't optional. It's who you are now. It's not about intensity. It's about discipline repeated. It's about being the kind of person who doesn't make excuses. You didn't come this far to stay the same. You didn't go through what you went through just to stay comfortable. Push past the excuses. Be strict with your time. Be clear with your effort. Every moment wasted is a moment you never get back. You can either lead your day or let it lead you. Discipline puts you in the driver's seat. It reminds you that you are in control of your choices, your focus, your effort. Responsibility tells you that you're not owed anything, but you can create something. Every day, every choice, every step you take either builds your future or delays it. Stop chasing balance. Chase ownership. Take your day seriously. Make it count. You'll be shocked how much you can change when you stop negotiating with yourself and start living like the life you want depends on every action. Because it does. Number 9. Let your actions reflect your deepest life priorities. Every person lives with values, but not every person lives by them. And that's the difference between a life that feels fulfilling and a life that just passes by. If your actions don't match what you say matters, your days begin to feel empty. You wake up doing things that don't bring you closer to the life you believe in. You get caught in a routine that serves everyone else's agenda, but forgets your own. That's not how you're supposed to live. That's not how a meaningful life is built. Your life is shaped by what you do, not what you hope to do, not what you plan to do, but what you actually do. You don't need more time to find your purpose. You need more honesty about how you're spending your time right now. Look at your calendar. Look at your habits. Look at how you handle your mornings, your nights, your free hours. That's where the truth is. If you say health is a priority, but you don't move your body or care for what you eat, your actions are telling a different story. If you say your family matters most, but your phone gets more attention than your loved ones, the message is clear. It's not about judgment. It's about taking ownership. It's about saying, if I want to live a life that matters, I need to act like it. You can't build a meaningful life on autopilot. You must choose with clarity. You must decide what matters and then line up your behavior with it. This is not about being perfect. This is about being real with yourself, about the gap between what you believe and what you do. And the way to close that gap is simple. Make one decision at a time that matches the life you say you want. We all say we want peace, but peace doesn't come from words. Peace comes from removing what causes chaos. Peace comes from saying no to what drains you. It comes from setting boundaries and holding to them, even when it's uncomfortable. Peace isn't given. It's created by how you spend your energy. And if your actions are always reacting to noise, you will never hear your own truth. We all say we want growth, but growth doesn't happen by accident. Growth comes from doing things that stretch you, things that make you uncomfortable, things that move you forward even when fear shows up. You can't become someone new if you keep repeating what the old version of you always did. That means letting go of habits that make you feel busy but not better. That means replacing distractions with discipline. Growth begins when you decide that who you're becoming is more important than staying the same. We all say we want impact, but impact doesn't come from hoping. It comes from giving, from showing up when it's hard, from being kind when it's easier to be silent, from offering your strength to those who have less. Impact is not a once-in-a-while thing. It's how you treat people every single day. It's how you lead by example when no one's watching. If you say you want to help others, show it in your actions. Serve without needing to be noticed. Give without expecting something in return. That's what real impact looks like. What you do is who you are. You can't separate your identity from your behavior. If you want to live a life of intention, then your choices must reflect your priorities. And if they don't, it's time to realign. It's time to step back and ask, am I doing what matters or just what's easy? Easy will always be available. Easy never asks you to grow. Easy never gives you the rewards that come from doing hard things for the right reasons. But meaning, real meaning, comes when your daily actions begin to speak louder than your intentions. People say they want to feel fulfilled. They want to feel alive, but feeling alive doesn't come from avoiding discomfort. It comes from living with purpose. It comes from facing yourself honestly and asking, what do I really stand for? And once you find the answer, You have a responsibility to follow through. You can't say one thing and do another and expect to feel whole. The more your life aligns with what truly matters to you, the more peace you feel, the more confidence you build, the more trust you earn with yourself. If you want to know your real priorities, look at what you do when no one's checking. Look at how you handle moments of choice. When you're tired, when you're frustrated, when you're uncertain. What decisions do you make? Those choices are not small. They shape your character. They reveal what you value most. You can't hide from that, and you shouldn't try. That's the feedback that helps you grow. Use it. Let it guide you. Let it remind you what needs to change. It's easy to make excuses, to say you don't have time, to say you're too busy. But the truth is, we all make time for what we care about. We all choose what to give our attention to. And if something truly matters to you, you'll find a way. If it doesn't, you'll find a reason. That's the difference between someone who lives on purpose and someone who just gets through the day. One builds, the other reacts. Make your priorities visible in how you live. If learning is important to you, read, study, ask better questions. If growth is important to you, push yourself where it counts. Don't wait for motivation. Create momentum through consistent effort. If relationships are important, show up for people. Put your phone down. Listen when they talk. Be present with your time. If health is a value, treat your body with care. Move it. Nourish it. Respect it. If faith matters, live it through your actions, not just your beliefs. The life you want is not far away. It's built one action at a time, one decision at a time. And those decisions get easier when they're based on clear priorities. You don't need to do everything. You just need to do the right things, the things that matter most. And you already know what they are. You just need to choose them. Not once, not twice, but daily. When your actions reflect your deepest values, something changes inside. You walk taller. You speak with more clarity. You stop apologizing for wanting more. You start trusting yourself again. Because now you're living with alignment. Now you're proving to yourself that your life matters enough to live on purpose. You don't wait for someone to fix things for you. You start fixing the way you live. You start showing up in ways that make you proud. You stop chasing what's popular and start chasing what's meaningful. You stop wasting time and start building something real. And over time, your life becomes a reflection of what matters, not to the world, but to you. Number 10. Build a life that feels right every morning. There is a kind of peace that comes when you wake up and you don't dread the day ahead. It doesn't mean your life is perfect. It doesn't mean there are no challenges. But it means you've made the kind of choices that let you open your eyes and feel like you're living a life that belongs to you. That kind of life doesn't come from luck. It comes from building it, step by step, choice by choice. Most people wait for the weekend to feel alive. Most people spend 5 days tolerating life just to enjoy 2. That's not living. That's just surviving. If you want to wake up each morning with purpose, then you must create a life that fits who you really are. You don't have to start with everything figured out. You just have to be honest. Ask yourself how you really feel when your alarm goes off. Ask yourself if the person you are becoming is someone you respect. Most people don't take the time to check in with themselves. They just follow routines. They just repeat yesterday. But if you don't stop and reflect, you won't see where you've drifted. You won't notice that the life you're living doesn't match the person you want to be. Building a life that feels right every morning means making choices that feel right when no one's looking. It means being honest about what drains you. It means removing things that steal your energy. And most of all, it means adding more of what makes you feel connected, challenged, and fulfilled. When you live with alignment, you don't need an escape. You don't count the hours until the day ends. You feel grounded. You feel clear. You feel ready to face what comes because you know you're not betraying yourself. You don't need a perfect plan to begin. You just need to stop settling. Stop making excuses for staying stuck. Stop accepting things that make you feel small. Start noticing the moments when you feel most yourself. Start paying attention to what gives you energy instead of what takes it away. Those are the clues. Those are the signs pointing you toward a better path. Most people ignore them. But you can't afford to ignore them if you want to build a life that you're proud to wake up to. It's not about chasing happiness, it's about chasing wholeness. Happiness can be temporary, but wholeness stays with you. It's the sense that you're doing what matters, that your time isn't wasted, that your days have meaning, that you're growing, that you're becoming more of who you were meant to be. When you feel that, you don't need outside rewards. You don't need constant entertainment or distractions. You can sit quietly with yourself and feel peace. That starts with discipline, not the kind that punishes, the kind that protects, the kind that says, I care too much about my future to keep living this way. Discipline helps you build better mornings. It helps you sleep better because your conscience is clear. It helps you move through life with direction instead of being tossed around by circumstances. If your mornings feel empty, it's time to ask why. And it's time to stop waiting for someone else to give you permission to live differently. Create routines that make you stronger. Feed your mind with something positive. Take care of your body. Spend time in silence before the noise of the world starts. These are small things, but they create big change. When you begin your day with intention, your life begins to reflect that intention. And when your life reflects your values, you stop feeling the need to escape it. You begin to enjoy the little things. You begin to look forward to the work ahead, not because it's easy, but because it matters. Most people think they need to change everything overnight. You don't. You just need to change one thing today. One decision, one action. That's how momentum begins. That's how confidence is built. When you keep promises to yourself, you grow trust. When you follow through on what matters, you stop doubting your own voice. And with each step, you feel less like a stranger in your own life. You start becoming someone you can rely on. Every day is a chance to move closer to the life you deserve, but only if you make it count. If you keep pushing your real desires to the background, they won't go away. They will just show up as frustration, as stress, as regret. If you want to feel good when you wake up, then create a life you don't have to run from. Build a life that feels light, even when things get hard. That happens when you take control of your time. When you stop saying yes to what doesn't serve you. When you stop numbing yourself with distractions and start making space for clarity. You know what needs to change. Everyone does. Deep down, you already have the answers. But the real difference is made when you act on them. When you stop pushing them to the side. When you say enough is enough and do something about it. Your future depends on the actions you take now. Not tomorrow, not next week. Now, if your mornings are filled with dread, you need to make adjustments. It could be your job. It could be your habits. It could be the people you surround yourself with. Don't pretend it's fine when it's not. Don't settle for less just because it's familiar. Familiar is not the same as fulfilling. Be brave enough to leave what no longer fits. Be honest enough to admit what you've outgrown. You're allowed to want more. You're allowed to rebuild. You're allowed to make your life feel better every morning. Give yourself something to look forward to. That's not a luxury. That's a need. The soul needs progress. It needs growth. It needs direction. Without it, you begin to shrink. You begin to forget who you are. But with it, you rise. You start each day with purpose. You don't feel behind because you know you're on your own path. You stop comparing your life to others because you know what you're building is right for you. Don't let time slip by unnoticed. Don't let your potential sit unused. Design a day that supports the life you want. Start small if you must. But start, make your mornings count. Make your choices count. Let your life be proof that it's possible to change, to rise, to rebuild, to feel good again. Your life doesn't have to be perfect. It just needs to feel like it's yours. When your actions reflect your priorities, when your habits support your vision, when your time is spent on what matters, then your mornings feel different. You wake up with clarity. You move with confidence. You carry peace with you. Not because everything is easy, but because you're finally living like you mean it.